Good evening, everybody. We are with Arlena Willis, and we are live on Facebook. And we're going to play, let me just make sure. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear fine.
Can you hear it?
You're not on yet.
Yes, I am. Let's make sure. We are live. You're supposed to help me here. Do you hear it?
It's not on.
Well, you have to refresh your page probably. Okay, let's see if we can get anybody to come on and let us know. I'm waiting for people to come on. It says we're live, so we are on. Here we go. Somebody's coming on, I believe. Hold on, Arlena. Arlena's with us. Want to say hello, Arlena?
Hello, everyone.
We're going to play a little clip of a song, just a little guitar piece of Arlena's song, Stowaway, and the amazing PK on guitar while we wait for people to come on. As long as we have sound. Do you hear me? I'm trying to ask if you can hear.
Now I hear it.
You hear it? Okay. All right, Arlena, here we go. Let's play that song. giving people a chance to come on. Arlena Willis, how are you, sweetheart?
I'm doing well considering.
Tonight we're going to do it a little different. You're going to be the one doing all the talking here tonight, Arlena, and I'm just going to we'll pick some topics, and whatever you want to start with, this is your night. Do you want to speak first about, you want to refer to the Deagle case, in your case?
Yes, I do. The first thing I want to bring up is me and Melissa Deagle's cases. To be clear, the only thing that is different in our cases is the fact we have different case numbers.
Right.
We have two of the same prosecutors, Frankie Grisman and Tracy Gleason, and I have four prosecutors, so we share two of the same prosecutors, and we also share the same trial judge. And get this, the Rule 11 judge for Melissa Deagle was the dependency judge, Nicholas Hoskins. He was the dependency judge in my case. They were going to give him to me, but they thought the better of it because they realized that that would be a mistake in doing so. But they also, I have a video and the audio showing both of my fired attorneys working in concert with the prosecution.
Oh, wow.
And it's very suspect. It's very suspect that we share two of the same prosecuting attorneys and the same trial judge. It's very suspect. Highly suspect.
It's pretty interesting, actually. And
yes, it is.
Why do you think that both of your cases are going on at the same time with the same judges and the same judge and the same prosecutors?
Because it has to do with Phoenix Children's Hospital, and I'm seeing this trend, an alarming trend, with when it regards to medical kidnapping. I'm seeing an alarming trend that the hospitals are using criminal investigations to keep
parents quiet.
To double down on parents. They have misdiagnosed their children, and to double down on parents and open criminal investigations and using the criminal justice system to cover for their private interests, which is wrong on so many levels.
Well, it's funny you should bring that up because I'm looking at the public record, which it's one page actually out of many, many, many pages. And there is something in here that really caught my eye that I found to be shocking in a way, that the doctor stated in this record here that they tell parents that they're going to call DCS when they're not cooperating, which often changes their minds. So they're using DCS, CPS, to control parents into doing certain treatments and tests and things that they want to get a second opinion on, that they're not so sure about. They're not making the parent part of the treatment plan for the child, which I find to be very concerning. And to threaten a parent,
alarming.
Right, to threaten a parent with DCS if they do not cooperate, and they say they do this, they usually do this, means they do it often, and the parents usually change their mind after they're threatened. I mean, that's right I'm not making this up, it's right in the public record, which is amazing. So do you want to say anything about that, Arlena?
Yes, I do. It goes right along with what I was saying earlier about hospitals doubling down and using criminal investigations to criminalize innocent parents to protect their private interests. And also these hospitals are aware that they could do that they can criminalize parents and use the DCS and use other entities to cover for their private interests when they mess up or they commit medical malpractice on a child. And to me, that is alarming, very alarming, and so wrong on so many levels. And it leaves me speechless how they can do this.
And in your case, we're going to go back to the public record again because I'm doing everything by the public record. You can say what you want. It's this is your night. But in the public record, I do want to refer to the fact that DCS was not called yet until after they took you out of the hospital and trespassed you away from your son. Is that true?
Could you repeat the question, please?
In the hospital, when the police took you away from your child and removed you from the hospital, DCS was called after you were removed.
They were called after I was removed, and it's on public record that
Right here.
it's right on public record
Yeah.
that he wasn't even in DCS custody when the Phoenix PD was called. He wasn't even in their custody.
Right, which is
And
alarming.
so Belinda Torres decided that she would have Olivia Duma, the social worker from DCS. She contacted her to meet her at the hospital to call Christine Britt the next day to. They didn't call the Phoenix Police Department, which took the original report.
Right.
They contacted Glendale.
Exactly. Here's the thing, what Arlena is speaking about is when the police do an investigation, they always go on the originating report. The jurisdiction is the originating report. And in this case, the originating report was on the 9th of September with Phoenix. And from Phoenix Hospital the next day, the caseworker, DCS caseworker, called Glendale rather than Phoenix. And what happened after that, Arlena?
What happened after that is that this
It's alarming.
goes to show you how it's alarming. It goes to show how wrong this really is. That this is also on all over the internet. That Belinda Torres, the one that was involved in having Olivia Duma call Christine Britt, she told me she was a hospital social worker, which she had lied. She lied to me, okay? And she also found out she got promoted to the DA's office, which to me shows that everything was done to push a criminal investigation on me.
Correct. Obviously.
Including the no food and drink order.
That's very concerning. And the other thing she did, when you were trespassing, you were driving home, what did you notice? Was somebody following you home?
Yeah, they were following me. Belinda Torres and Jesse Hillhouse was following me.
And when they came to your home and they looked at your beautiful home, because I've seen your home and it's really adorable, very beautiful, what did they say about your home?
Well, what they said about my home was said, and they marked a so-called ex parte order that was rubber stamped. Yet my son wasn't in their custody.
Not in their
at
custody
that time.
Yet. That's right. Not until the next day.
Not in their custody, and that's on public record with Christine Britt's investigative report that he was not in their custody.
That's right.
So they did a rubber stamped ex parte order.
Ex parte, taking a child ex parte.
And this was my name on that order,
Mm-hmm.
as well as on the 6th of September, when I signed my son in the hospital to admit him,
Mm-hmm.
there is no record of that. It's like that date don't even exist.
Right.
Because any of the records are pertaining to September 6th of 2018. They're gone.
Absolutely, which is concerning because it was your evidence that you had brought your son in and you had signed him in for treatment. I mean, why else would it disappear? It doesn't make sense.
It disappeared because they didn't have custody over my son, and they had to try to fraudulently make it look like I had abandoned him because they put abandonment.
They threw you
As
out of the...
I abandoned my son, which was not true. They used the Phoenix Children's Police Department to escort me out of the hospital when DCS did not have custody over my son at that time.
So you're telling me on the paperwork they said you abandoned your child?
Yes.
But we all saw you on the live Facebook video and you were trying to stay with your child and they were throwing you out.
I was, and they even put on public record that I refused to leave my child. I refused.
Well, you did refuse to leave him. I know that I would have refused to leave my child. I mean, who wouldn't refuse to leave their child? Is there anything else you want to say on that subject?
I want to say that I should have been able I should have been able to go to my son's PCP provider that I had made the appointment with on the 6th.
Right.
On the morning of September the 6th, I contacted the PCP provider. I contacted his PCP provider and set up an appointment. And I also set up 2 referrals to a GI specialist and a nutritionist.
And, let me see. There was something in here about a nutritionalist where the doctor said that he would be fine with that. Wasn't it Dr.
Hayes?
Yes. I saw that somewhere in one of these records. While you're talking, I'm just going to keep looking for it. There was something I saw about that.
And Dr. Hayes also stated that my son was not in any imminent danger at all.
He said there was no.
And they even documented that he was not in any imminent danger in any way, so he was sent home.
Correct. And I saw that somewhere in here too, where he said he didn't feel that there would be any harm coming to him if he went home, that he wasn't in imminent danger. Correct. Meaning his health was under control. He said he was doing well already for a couple days. He was eating, right?
Yes, he was eating.
He was hungry, which is a very good sign.
And also 10 days prior, it was worthy to note that he was nutritionally fit, found nutritionally fit by Dignity Health, no nutritional deficiencies, no suspicion of abuse, no report of abuse. It's all documented. Clearly documented.
And he had a good weight at that time as well. I remember seeing that in the document.
Yes, exactly.
So tell us about the no food and drink order and the weight change that occurred in the hospital. That's a big thing we have to cover because of what is being said on the internet, which is not correct.
Well, see, the no food and drink order, when people want to talk about how my son was starved, first of all, my son Jonathan was put on a no food and drink order by the GI staff at the hospital. Upon being admitted, he was put on a no food and drink order immediately.
Right.
And they stated they were doing that to measure his stools. And they had also told me he was at risk for refeeding syndrome when he was found nutritionally fit 10 days prior.
How long was he on a no food and drink order?
For 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks, he didn't get any food?
Yeah, for the purpose of the criminal investigation.
That must have
That was done.
You know, I don't even know what to do with that. I mean, I can't even imagine, because people with IBD, they can eat. I know this.
Well, he was stating over and over he wanted to eat.
Right.
He was crying. He was wanting to eat. He was saying he wanted to eat over and over and over again. And stating that.
And that is when he lost, according to the records, that's when he went and lost a lot of weight at that time, right? With no food and drink. I would imagine anyone who has no food and drink for even a couple of weeks would definitely lose a lot of weight. Wow.
And I believe that's where the main concern was with the weight loss, and that's where the weight loss where he was at the weight that they said because they had starved him out.
And this weight was this weight was the low weight was documented in front of a grand jury, right?
Well, they were stating that they were making it sound like it was me.
Right.
Okay, and it was not me. And to be clear, in the no food and drink order, I have visitation notes that stated that my son was starving over and over and over and over, stating he was starving.
He was begging for food?
He was begging for food. He wanted to eat.
Was he begging for his mother?
And he was also begging for me.
Was he begging for his holidays and his family?
Yes, he was.
Was he denied all of that?
Yes, he was.
Why? Why was he denied all the things that he needed at the most critical point of his life?
you know, Shara, why they did this to cover for the private interest of Phoenix Children's Hospital, it just blows my mind how anybody could be and behave in that way, and to criminalize someone that's not even that doesn't even have history of a parking ticket. Criminalize someone
Exactly.
that criminalize someone just because they don't want to be held accountable for medical malpractice.
Because what happened?
That's wrong.
What happened at the very beginning in 2016?
They took out his healthy appendix,
And
they totally missed diagnosis of colitis, onset of colitis at that time.
And at that time, you took him back for all of his appointments for follow-up because it's in the public record. You took him back.
Yes, I did, and it shows that I did.
Right.
It shows that I followed post-op after surgery, and they gave him a clean bill of health after that.
I have it actually right here, so I can read it. I can read it because it's public
Please
record.
do.
Okay, that would have been in January when you took him back in 2017, correct? At Phoenix Children's Hospital, correct?
That's correct.
And in that time, when you took him back, which was only a year before they took him from you, correct?
Correct.
It's stated in here that the doctors found him and determined him to be doing well, correct?
Correct.
It's in the public record. In the public record, everybody. And
It is in the public record.
So why on earth am I seeing in the public record where a doctor is saying that he was in this condition for many years?
I want to expound on that. When on January, I had told her what happened with my son's appendix, Christy Ingabo, Dr. Christy Ingabo. I told her that.
Is she a GI doctor?
I told her my son could have been perforated from the surgery. There's something could have happened. Please look into it. And she kept saying, oh, no, that's not it. That's not it at all. And then come back to find out she had written that to demarginalize both me and my son, she stated both of us need psychiatric help or she would be getting VCS involved.
You know, I see that in the public record where she was talking about a problem with food. And Dr. Ingabo, I have to talk to you if you ever see this video. All children and all adults that have IBD have an issue with food, Dr. Ingabo. It is an inflammatory bowel disease, which you are a GI doctor, and I don't have to tell you that. It's an inflammatory bowel disease, meaning there's inflammation in the area where you eat, the GI area. And when there is inflammation, people tend to avoid certain foods because it causes more issues. And it is not a psychiatric condition to avoid certain foods when you have IBD. It's very normal and par for the course and extremely common, especially in children. I just wanted to put that little information out there. Is there anything else you want to say on that subject, Arlena?
Yes, it was because of the delayed diagnosis from December all the way up that led to this point. And nobody caught it. And when Dr. Mullah gave me the initial diagnosis of colitis, I wanted to confirm it. I said, listen, Dr. Mullah, I said, I just want to confirm your medical opinion, doctor. He got upset at me, and he got really red in the face, and he was like, you dare question my medical opinion. I'm like, no, that's not it, doctor. That's not it at all. I just want to confirm your medical opinion with my son's newly acquired PCP provider. That's all I want to do, sir.
And how many times? How many times had he been misdiagnosed at that hospital that made you feel a little cautious about needing that second opinion?
Would you repeat the question, please?
How many times had he been misdiagnosed at that point?
He'd been misdiagnosed several times by the staff at Phoenix Children's Hospital, which led me to the decision that I really needed to confirm this new diagnosis. I wanted to be able to give him the most optimal treatment plan for his new diagnosis, and I just wanted to confirm it and solidify it because of the past misdiagnosis.
And I don't
that
blame you for
received.
that, because it was a little misleading getting all these different diagnoses and not knowing what was wrong.
Yes, very. and a very, very, it was very misleading to me, as well as it wasn't, she had a chance, Dr. Ingebo had a chance to, right the wrong that had happened with his healthy appendix being taken out, but she chose to lie and state that, and to demarginalize both my son and myself by stating we both needed psychiatric help.
Oh.
And which at the point, I was really desperate to know what was going on with my son.
Of course you were. Speaking of psychiatric, you did have 2 evaluations, which we covered in part 1. Anyone who has not been following the story, we had a part 1, so definitely watch part 1. And Arlena, you were found to be completely very fit in your 2 evaluations, and it was a stellar report.
Yes, exactly. And I had.
So Dr. Ingebo, she doesn't have a psychiatric issue, Dr. Ingebo. I thought you should know that. There's no psychiatric issue. Go ahead, Arlena.
And I had excellent rapport especially with one of the evaluators. I really had excellent rapport with her, and actually both given me stellar evaluations in regards to being competent.
Right. So that whole thing is off the plate now, because it was stellar. And when I say stellar, I don't know very many people that would do as well as she did. And
it was God sustaining me, the power of God, to say that.
Yeah, especially what you were going through at the time when you had those evaluations, which we covered in the first interview. Now, on here, we just discussed how Dr. Hayes had stated, I don't want to say the name, but I did. Okay, so he's saying that it wasn't imminent and that you could leave the hospital. He did not see any likelihood of any harm coming to your child if you left. That's what he said right here in the public record.
Yes, it's in the public record.
In the public record. Meaning...
So if anybody wanted to obtain the public record, all they would have to do is call in a request for those records.
Right. The whole thing is right
It's all in there. It's all in there.
It's all here. Okay, so did you want to know?
Yes, I do. I do want to elaborate. I'm glad you asked that.
Okay, we're back. We popped off and went back on. Okay, jurisdiction.
I do want to elaborate on that because...
Sure. Go right ahead.
Because Christine Britt fraudulently altered the location and the address of Phoenix Children's Hospital. We're dealing with someone who's been on the force for 9 years.
She knows her jurisdiction.
She's lived in Arizona for all of her life.
She knows her jurisdiction.
So she knows. She should know better what jurisdiction is what. And Phoenix Children's Hospital first contacted Phoenix PD with the incident report. And at the time, my son wasn't even in the DCS custody. But I was forced away from my son, and then my son not even being in their custody.
And, so people understand jurisdiction. In a city, the police do the enforcing in a city. And when they make reports, sometimes detectives get a hold of those reports. Thank you. Sometimes detectives get a hold of those reports if they need to do investigations, and that is within the jurisdiction of the city. And that didn't happen in this case. Right, Arlena?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
Why did she change?
She stated she couldn't find the originating report from Phoenix. The day she was given the case, she stated she couldn't find the report from Phoenix PD.
And I found it.
Report regarding 9918.
I found it in about 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
It was existing.
So, you can't sit there and say that she had a hard time finding it.
See, the originating report, everybody said Phoenix on it, the city of Phoenix. That is the originating report. I was told by the police and by the sheriff's department that everything goes back to the originating report. Every report after that goes on top of the originating report and stays within that jurisdiction for an investigation. And it didn't happen. Everything went over to Glendale because the DCS worker on the 10th of September 2018 called Glendale to have Glendale come in. And what happened on their way there? That's in the public record too. On the way there, the detective, on the way to Phoenix, out of jurisdiction, she was called to turn away by the DCS worker, wasn't she, Arlena?
Yes, she was contacted by Olivia Duma that she was en route to the hospital, and they called her and to cancel it, and it's right on the report.
Yeah, why did they cancel it? That's a good question.
I'm thinking maybe that my son was really freaking out at the time.
I think so. It was the first day after.
And it would have been highly apparent what they had done.
Yeah, you know, I have a clip. There was something that actually was on the internet. It wasn't placed on there by Arlena, but it was on the internet, and it was quite alarming. Arlena's child was screaming behind a hospital door, and somebody, a nurse within the hospital, was filming him. And she made a YouTube video and placed it on YouTube. And I have a little clip of that I'm going to air because it was a public record, because it was public. I also have another video, a little clip of a video of a part that I covered, Arlena, quite a while ago on your case, where Jonathan was speaking to you about being kidnapped by the hospital, and I have that little clip as well. Whenever you want me to play that, Arlena, you let me know.
I mean, if you want to play it now,
you know, I could do that while you're talking. Let me go ahead. If there's anything you want to say while I'm getting the clip out, and I will play it now. Actually,
I just want to also state that that you know, with the MCSO and finding that they did not, there was nobody from the FBI that was there. It's documented. All of the officers that were there at my house on July the 12th, 2019, they were not. None of them were not FBI agents.
No, we're gonna. Or let's do that first. I'm gonna play a little clip of. Okay. The MCSO FATE team, an officer describing an internet clip describing what they are and what they do. After that clip, I will have another small clip on there of the Sheriff Department legal department telling me on the phone that no FBI was at your house that day. And Arlena, please tell the public, what were people wearing that day that were at your door?
They were wearing, it would look like homemade FBI uniforms.
Well, they were FBI uniforms. They were wearing FBI uniforms.
They were not. They had on FBI tactical gear.
Yeah.
And they were deputies.
Right.
And
we have other journalists out there stating, no, they were FBI, but they don't even know what they're talking about, do they, Arlena?
No, they do not.
Okay.
Because we've got the records that state the names and the officers.
Sure do.
Don't we, Shara? We have
I have them all.
documentation of the names and the badge numbers of all the officers that were there at my house, and none of them were FBI agents.
Not one. So after you hear the clip of what the FATE team is, and why we're going into that, we're going to go into it a little deeper in a minute because we have to for a few reasons. Well, a gun was put to your head, and there's no record, and there's no body cameras. See, they don't wear body cameras, everybody. They use high-powered weaponry, and they don't use body cameras. They don't make reports. Very, very, very concerning. I'm going to play first, Arlena. Before I play your son, I'm going to actually play the FATE audio that I have here. It's not very long. It's only probably about 5 minutes, if that. Okay? So we'll play that first.
I'm Sergeant Guadalupe Rios. I am currently the supervisor for the FATE unit assigned to the Special Investigation Division of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. The FATE unit is the Fugitive Apprehension Tactical Enforcement Squad assigned to the Sheriff's Office. Our specific mission is to locate and safely apprehend fugitives. The FATE unit was established in early 2017. Since that time, we've had over 600 plus arrests. The arrest can be from aggravated assault involving a DUI wreck where somebody was severely injured.
Uh-oh. Arlena, you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, everybody. something happened with the electric in here, and I don't know what it is. Isn't that bizarre? Everybody give me a second.
I know, right?
My electric just popped off. Oh. Let me just go get him. I don't know where he went, so he can get the electric on. I don't know what happened just now. Everybody, you're going to be in the dark with us for a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Can you go down and
Okay.
flip that for me? Hold on, I need your help.
Yeah, I know.
I need your help. I need a man.
Did Joey put on his
I don't know.
asking?
Don't talk about him on that. Put the phone down. We're live right now.
Hey, Joe? You turned on the microwave. Oh, man. Okay. Okay.
Don't worry about that right now. Just get it done.
I'll get it together.
Hurry up.
I'm doing my best.
That was weird. Okay. The man is going down to get that back on, everybody. Just bear with us for a minute. You with me, Arlena?
Yes, I was going to say something. It says the light shines in the darkness.
You know, this might be... Oh, yes, the light shines. Oh, girl. You got that right.
It shines brighter in the dark, through the darkness.
Light shines in the darkness. Yes, it does. Indeed. Hey, everybody. Oh, there we go. Let me just get this back going. What?
Yay!
We're back on. Let me just get this back on. Oh, if it's going to go back on, let's see. It better. There we go. Okay, we are back, everybody. Sorry about that. We gotta restart that, okay, Arlena?
Okay.
As soon as the computer comes back on, it's working. Hopefully everything's still on the desktop. I'm sure it is. Not going yet. There we go.
Should be good, Shara.
Uh-huh, we're working it. Okay, we're going to restart that little clip. It's very short, everybody, so that is okay. Here we go. I have to start it over, actually. There we go.
I'm Sergeant Guadalupe Rios. I am currently the supervisor for the FATE unit assigned to the Special Investigation Division of the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. The FATE unit is the Fugitive Apprehension Tactical Enforcement Squad assigned to the Sheriff's Office. Our specific mission is to locate and safely apprehend fugitives. The FATE unit was established in early 2017. Since that time, we've had over 600 plus arrests. The arrest can be from aggravated assault involving a DUI wreck where somebody was severely injured, to we've had cases where we've had serial rapists. We've had serial rapist murderers that we've been after, domestic violence, aggravated assault, felonies. We concentrate on felony charges. All of them are fugitives, but at one point, the level of their crime varies. We're specifically dedicated to look for violent fugitives that are felons, the worst of the worst. Your daily patrol guys are out there. They're in the grind when they need assistance to locate a fugitive or somebody who's actively hiding or actively fleeing the state, actively fleeing Maricopa County. They call us and we bring our resources to bear. And hopefully locate and, again, apprehend that fugitive as safe as possible. We were assigned to the FBI Fugitive Task Force. That task force is made up of MCSO personnel, which is FATE, Maricopa County Maricopa County Attorney's Detectives. We have one. And then we also have special agents with the FBI assigned to the group. A lot of our cases come from grand jury warrants generated from other agencies. Cases come from the districts, from our patrol districts, or our special investigations divisions like MCD, jail crimes, sex crimes. We also get federal cases that come from the FBI. We do joint training with the FBI and their special agents. As the supervisor and actual active member of the FATE unit, our main goal is safety. Safety for the general public, safety for the detectives, and also safety for the suspect.
Okay, what is the rank of the B1955? Because he's not a deputy sheriff. He's not.
No, he is a detention officer.
A detention.
He is a sergeant detention officer.
Okay, so he's not an FBI agent. He's just a sergeant detective officer, whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
The other one is a deputy sworn officer.
Right. That's why the S. Okay, she told me that. Now the last one was also the B, which is B2225.
And that is Jasmine Jimenez.
Right, there was one woman I was going to say. Oh my gosh, that's correct. Okay, so Jasmine, can you spell her whole name so I have it correctly?
It is Jasmine.
Mm-hmm.
Last name Jimenez. Jimenez.
Enes. Okay, and what is her rank?
She's a detention officer.
Is she a sergeant or no? Just detention officer?
No, just a regular detention officer. I'm assuming this is what the I forget that tactical.
The fate.
Yeah.
Okay, so which one of these are FBI agents, or none of them are FBI agents? Because I looked at all the different numbers and now I have all their names, and they're all
with them being working with CSO, they are not FBI agents. Then.
Okay, but can you tell by their rank that they're not FBI members, or they are, but just by their name and their rank?
Well, like I said, we don't have FBI agents working for.
I gotcha. Okay.
So we have deputies who can be detectives.
Yes.
But they are not considered FBI because then they wouldn't be in our system.
Wow. You hear that, Arlena? Arlena?
Yes, I did.
You heard that, right?
I did.
Did everybody
Yes,
hear
I
that? Miko Hayes, if you're out there, which you usually are out there somewhere, she said none of them were FBI agents at her door. None. We know all the officers, all the badge numbers. Not one was an FBI agent. Stop saying that, Miko. Stop saying she had FBI because she's a sovereign citizen, because she is not a sovereign citizen, and she did not have FBI at her door. But were they wearing FBI uniforms, Arlena?
Yes, they were.
Why were they wearing FBI uniforms if they were not the FBI?
I believe that it's a form of bullying tactics, and it's also a felony crime for anybody to impersonate an FBI agent. Anyone,
even an officer.
Even an officer.
How many of those officers at your door had an FBI uniform on with the words FBI on it?
I could see 4.
4 of them had the FBI uniform on?
Yes.
Okay, there's a reason why we're talking about this, because in Arlena's case, and we're going to talk about another very sad case that I just discovered and I shared with Arlena, which I'm going to actually be going down the road of looking into that story. In Arlena's case, there was no police report, no body cameras. I'm trying to document everything in her case as far as all of the public records, and I cannot get a public record on her arrest. Nothing. I can't find a warrant anywhere. Anywhere. I cannot find a report. And
well, can I say something about that?
Sure.
When I inquired back in July, when I inquired about the warrant, because I knew that there was no warrant, they wrote me back from the sheriff's office saying that they searched the records of MCSO and no warrant was found.
And people can find that document released on the first part 1, and we can actually put it on part 2 as well, so they have it again.
And actually, on the grand jury indictment, there were no signatures. So in order for a grand jury warrant to be valid, they had to have signatures. And there were no signatures on the so-called grand jury in Truebill. And so there was no warrant. They said no warrant was found.
Right. Wasn't there some kind of a grand jury party that you read somewhere? I don't know what that was.
You know, they put down indictment party.
Oh, okay. Sounds
So,
like
guess they were having a little party.
right. So I want people to understand this. What are they called? The Fugitive Apprehension Tactical Enforcement Unit, right? Is that what it is, Fate?
Yes.
I'm very. The reason why I'm going down this road with this is because I do feel there has to be a law that they should be wearing body cameras and there should be reports with every arrest
They
because
should be. They should be. Can I say something?
yes,
They should have accountability, and that's the reason why there should be accountability with the criminal justice system
yeah,
and in law enforcement, because they should not be used in the fashion that they are being used by Maricopa County Sheriff's Department,
yeah,
and they should not, and the criminal justice should not be used to criminalize innocent mothers and innocent parents to protect private interests. And that's the reason why there needs to be legislation call the legislation for criminal justice reform and law enforcement reform.
Right.
There needs to be accountability, Shara.
there needs to be accountability, and you certainly are not anti-government or anti-law enforcement.
Oh, no.
Law enforcement.
I believe they can petition the government with my grievances, and I have plenty.
Right.
You know, I'm not anti-government. I'm not anti-police. I'm not anti-medicine.
You support
However, I do
police.
feel that what's happened to Jonathan and myself is wrong on so many levels, and it needs to be addressed.
It's very wrong on so many levels. I mean, what I've collected, I have no words for it. I'm literally speechless tonight on that. I don't even know where to begin. But as far as the Fate team goes, I do feel that a law has to be made where they are wearing body cameras because things do go sideways, don't they, Arlena?
I agree. They should have body cams, and everything should be documented. Now, in the last live that we did, it was very disturbing and alarming to me to hear them state that they don't have to have a record of anything.
Correct.
They don't have to document the arrest,
On
and
part
they don't
one.
have to wear body cams. I found that very alarming.
It was very alarming because it means that there is no accountability, there is no record, there is no body camera.
Exactly.
We don't know what really happened. Things go sideways. When you are supposedly arresting fugitives, you know things can go sideways, right, Arlena? Things can go sideways. And, well, in
Like
your...
I could have been shot. I mean, because they had a gun to the back of my head, I could have been shot. And they, to me, to not have any record of that,
No record.
and no record of an arrest report, and no body cams being worn, to me, that's not acceptable.
And when an
It's not
officer,
acceptable.
when law enforcement does take their gun out, they do have to make a record of this. They do. When they put their gun on somebody's head, they have to say something on a record. Nothing is there.
Before that officer that you were talking with on the last live,
Yeah.
in regards to her stating that there doesn't need to be having any accountability in that regard, that to me was very alarming, and that
Scary.
needs to be addressed by legislation.
Exactly.
They need to be wearing body cams every single time. They need to also not be wearing FBI tactical gear, but if they're going to have a task force, they need to have that tactical gear, not FBI tactical gear on.
It should say
And
sheriff.
as well as everything, body cams, everything documented.
Because the
For
sheriff...
public records.
the
And
sh-
that didn't occur in my case and others' cases documented as well, that there was no body cams, no record of anything.
That's right.
When the families go to search what happened. And that, to me, is not acceptable. That needs to change. And it's just not right.
And
Something needs to be done.
we did mention a young woman's name on the first live, right, Arlena?
Yes, Melanie Duvall.
And what happened to her?
She was shot twice in the face by MCSO's task force. She was shot 4 times total, and she wasn't even suspect. She was not even a suspect.
Wasn't she sitting in her car at the time when she was shot? She was sitting in her
Yes,
car.
She was sitting in her truck.
And the windshield was riddled with high-powered weapons, rifles, holes all over the windshield of her car. And she was shot, and she had 2 children, and she passed away from that. But there's a news story that I found that really got my heart. as you know, Elijah Boatley. I discovered a story about Elijah Boatley, who was shot by the FATE team in 2019, September 14th. I have this up. You can't really see it on my screen right here. Elijah. I do have a screenshot here, which you can't see very clear. Let's see if I can move this over a little. Maybe you can see it a little bit. We'll turn that a little bit so you can see it. And in this screenshot right here, there's a video that's out. And the FATE team, you probably can't see it, but I will put these in the thread actually when we're done. But this gentleman over here is holding a high-powered weapon with lights on it, and lights were coming out of a cap or something he was wearing. I don't know what that was. And this gentleman here, Elijah Boatley, which was really a kid, he was only 20 years old. He was accused of breaking into a firehouse with a teenager earlier in the day or another day. I don't know what day it was. And he didn't do anything violent. Nobody got injured. And of course, he was innocent until proven guilty, first of all. He pulled into a convenience store over here, and the FATE team had him on the list, like they had Arlena on the list to arrest. And they went to arrest him, and they blocked him in. He was in the car with two women and a baby. There was a toddler in the car. The two women got out of the car before the FATE team arrived. They went into the convenience store and to get some food, and the little toddler was in the back seat, and Mr. Boatley was playing music for the toddler and keeping him company while the other two women went in the store. And the officers here, the FATE team, as you can see in the corner here, they pulled their van up behind him, and they blocked this car, and they said to him, "Get out of the car and put your hands up." That's what they yelled. "Get out of the car, put your hands up." And they were there with the guns waiting. He did exactly what they said immediately. He got up right away. He opened his car door, and this is just incredible. He opened his car door, he got out, and within 1 second of putting his foot on the ground, he was riddled with bullets. He was down on the ground within 3 seconds. Down. He was left there for about 8 minutes, bleeding out, and nobody was getting an ambulance to him. What they did do was, here's the front of his car on this end, here's the back of his car, here is the FATE team. Two of the members of the FATE team walked around to the front of the car, and they both crouched down very, very low together. One was covering over the other. One crouched in with a very thick vest on, and then they tossed a gun over to the sidewalk. So I went and took the video, and I was making still shots. I was doing rapid still shots on the video to try to see if he had a gun on him. He had no shirt on, and you couldn't see anything on his pants, a gun anywhere. And they said he had a gun on his hand on the report, but I captured his hands on the car here. 2 hands on the car, and not one hand had a gun in it. So I'm not going to make an accusation or anything, but I'm wondering why there's no gun in his hand, either hand. I watched him on the video, which I will post the video on here after we do our interview. And I watched him get out of the car, and I watched him shut his car door. It would have been suicide to get out of the car with a gun in your hand, facing multiple officers with rifles. But he got out of his car. There was nowhere to go. And he simply turned around and began to raise his hands up because they ordered his hands up. Get out of the car, put your hands up. He did exactly what they said immediately without even pausing. He did what they said, and he lost his life. The thing that I find alarming about this is there's no body cameras, and you're holding these weapons, and things go sideways like they did here, and the family doesn't have a body camera. And this video that was captured was from the convenience store without any sound, and the angle wasn't very well to see him on the ground or the officers that moved in and produced a gun onto the sidewalk. So everybody needs to look at the video and see what you get from the video. Anything you want to say, Arlena?
Yes, I watched that video as well, and it was really alarming to me that yes, he was doing what he was told. He was saying he got out of the car. He was starting to put his hands up, and I could look at his hands, and I could tell that there was no weapons in his hand. And I'm not going to assume anything either, but I am saying is what they did next was
that scary?
So alarming. They started firing rounds into this man.
They fired rapid rounds of rifles, high-powered rifles with lights on them. You could see shell casing sparks going all over the roadway, the driveway. Here's what they found though at the end: not one fingerprint from Mr. Boatley was on that gun that they tossed onto the sidewalk. No fingerprints. So
exactly, and they won't release any information to this family. And that's just wrong to me.
It's very wrong. So we're not going to go.
It shows that MCSO has no accountability, and that really needs to change.
And the only reason this is relating right now to our conversation is because you were arrested by the same FATE team.
Exactly.
And there's no record and no body camera. So we can kind of move on from that subject. We just wanted to kind of cover that again. We covered the jurisdiction. What else did you want to talk about, Arlena?
I wanted to talk about as well that that I just wanted to say that I really appreciate everyone that has supported me.
Oh.
I really want to say that. And for those who have prayed and supported me and stood by me in prayers and support, that means to me more to me than what anyone could ever know. And I know there's power in prayer. There's power in prayer, and I have a lot of people praying for me, my friends and my family. They know what happened. They know what kind of mother that I am, what kind of woman that I am. Yeah. And so it really doesn't matter to me what everyone else is saying, because I know the truth about who I am. God knows the truth of who I am. My son knows the truth of who I am.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And, I'm almost like speechless tonight. I'm continuing to go through records, and I'm finding more and more in these records, and I don't know how this can be happening, to be honest. I don't understand it. Because this is a mother who did everything she could. It was a condition that was not diagnosed. She was doing everything nutritionally to help restore his health and to get to the bottom of what was going on. And
yes, and even the doctor stated that would work, that diet would work. The doctor,
it's in the record here.
It's in the record saying that diet would, at the stage that what he was going through, it would help him.
That's right. He thought that
doctors were stating this.
Yes.
They're not holistic doctors, but medical MD, not holistic, but conventional
doctor. Yeah, GI doctor.
Was saying that. Yes.
And they're doing a lot of studies on the condition, and they're finding that diet plays a very, very important role in healing and remission. And I know this very well. It's a fact. And I'm actually going to put some of those articles in the comment thread when we're done, so people can read that themselves and understand the illness a lot more. Let's see, Arlena, what else did you want to cover? I know you wanted to do this, and you wanted to really tell the public some things in your case, and you go ahead and do that, honey. Whatever it is you want to say.
That my son, he was crying out for over a year to come home.
Oh, yeah.
And it's documented that, he's maintained his position, that I did nothing to abuse him or neglect him in any way.
Yeah.
And what needs to happen is this needs to stop. Okay? The prosecution needs to back up the gravy train. It needs to stop. Because I've got records upon records upon records, even from Dr. Patrick Goodman from Phoenix Children's Hospital, that states that my son was adamant I did nothing to abuse nor neglect him.
Right.
Even though they were medicating my son to keep him quiet, to try to keep him quiet. My son was stating the truth of the matter. I did nothing to abuse or neglect him over and over again. And that should have been the end of it. My son should have been returned.
Right. And he really...
And that's all that my heart desires is for the reunification between me and my son, and for all fabricated charges to be dropped with extreme prejudice. Only two things that I don't really think that it's too much of me to ask.
No. After all you guys have been through...
After all that I've gone through, I don't think that's too much for me to ask.
How long has this been going on, Arlena?
It's been going on for over 2 years.
Over 2 years. I don't even know how you're enduring this. Honestly, I don't. I mean, I'm looking through the...
It's by God. It's by God. It's God's power.
Yeah.
It's God's power sustaining me, and it's God's love and my relationship with Christ. It's what's sustaining me through all of this.
And there, you know,
and
you told me...
He's strong, and the love for my son.
Yeah.
As well, is important to... every day I am motivated by the hope that we will be reunited someday, and that God's going to be working with the heart for the reunification between me and my son, and for all the false charges to be dropped. I pray that every day, Shara.
I know you do, and I pray for you too. The same exact thing.
Thank you so much, Shara.
And I know, Arlena, there's another reason why you wanted to tell the public about what's so involved in this case, because you were telling me you didn't want to see this happen to anybody else.
No, I don't. I don't want to see the criminal justice system being used to cover for private interests. That's not what the criminal justice system nor the law enforcement should be used for.
And is DCS supposed to use their power to control parents in a hospital? Is that what they're here for? DCS to control parents in a hospital when they want to get other opinions on the health of their children, or try...
You see, these hospitals are third-party contracted with DCS
That's
well
scary.
as... Yes, and that is very alarming.
Yeah,
and that needs to be
extremely.
too. That I'm seeing a trend. You know, they call it medical kidnapping. It is kidnapping. If you want to call it medical kidnapping,
Yeah.
It's kidnapping. No matter if you put the word medical behind it or not, it's kidnapping. And the very fact that they used the law enforcement when DCS hadn't even had custody over my son at that time.
Right.
They used the law enforcement to kidnap my son.
And when you say they didn't have custody over him, they didn't call to take custody of him until the day after.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
how can they throw a mother out of a hospital? How can they do that, you guys, really? By the way, our threads are very quiet, everybody. We have the entire public is blocked. Isn't it kind of refreshing? It really is.
You know what?
Maybe I'll stay this way.
I honestly think that those that you know, you don't know the whole truth, just shut up. Because, you know, my son and I have both been through quite enough.
Yeah.
And the truth is coming out, and the truth will eliminate through the darkness, and the truth will win out in the end. My grandma always had a saying that, and she has quite a few cute little sayings, and one of the sayings that I remember her saying is that it comes out in the wash in the end, Arlena. It always comes out in the wash.
Always comes out in the wash in the end.
The dirt always comes out in the wash in the end.
Yeah.
So the truth will win out. I believe that with all my heart.
I believe that too, and the truth is all over the public record.
Exactly.
And what I don't understand is when I'm reading this public record, how does it go from this to you facing a trial with the balance of your life sitting right there, possibly going to prison?
I gotta say this too. I gotta bring this out, Shara.
Yeah.
The fact that they went over the statute of limitations, the prosecution did. It's 180 days for a standard case and 270 days for a complex case from the date of the arraignment. The arraignment was on July the 19th of 2019. So they well went over the 270-day time frame to bring it into trial.
Right.
There was no signatures on the grand jury indictment, so how could they be a grand jury warrant? There was no warrant. We've established that. Also, there's no record of the arrest. Also, there's no jurisdiction. So without all of those components and considering all these factors, this case should be cut and dry, thrown out with extreme prejudice.
Well, because procedure is the number one item in a courtroom, isn't it?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Procedure is very important also with our law enforcement. So
Exactly.
I'm having a hard time getting past the jurisdiction. I really am. I want to know why a detective would change the name of a city on a grand jury testimony record.
Well, she put it on there so she could change the jurisdiction so she could investigate. She changed the address from Phoenix Children's Hospital fraudulently, saying it turned it from the city of Phoenix to Glendale.
Why did the DCS worker call Glendale on the 9th from Phoenix Children's Hospital in Phoenix, Arizona, rather than calling the Phoenix Police Department, which was who showed up the day before and did the originating report, took the originating report? Why did she do that?
Somebody had told her, somebody instructed her to call. Somebody instructed Olivia Duma to make the phone call to Christine Britt
Why?
from the hospital.
I wonder why.
For the purpose of opening a criminal investigation and for the purpose of trying to push an indictment. And it's also interesting that Belinda Torres, now that's claimed to be a hospital social worker, she is working for the DA's office and DCS hit team.
So how do you work for DCS and the DA? How do you do that? How is that not a conflict? How is it not a conflict?
It is. It's a conflict of interest.
A total conflict of
It's not
interest.
how could it not be. It clearly is a conflict of interest.
But then then she's also tied to the hospital because she happened to be at the hospital when all this was going on. So she's involved with the hospital and the DA's office at the same time. I don't understand that. I don't.
But they didn't have. I know this one thing certain. They didn't have They didn't have custody over my son at that time.
No, because it stays in the public record.
It's written down in Christine Britt's investigative report.
It's in the public record, correct?
Yes, in public record.
So how can a hospital remove your child from you without being under the care of DCS and make you leave a hospital and trespass you without your child with the police when your child has not been removed from you yet? How does that happen?
It shouldn't have happened.
Ex parte.
It should have never happened. And you see, did you see that there was no? They did not mark the box exigent circumstance.
Yeah.
They didn't mark that box. They left that box unchecked.
And
they put little kid's name on the dependency petition.
It wasn't even your child's name.
No, it wasn't even my son's name.
So they grabbed the first document that was on top of the desk, maybe? I mean...
Well, clearly they are rubber stamping those documents. Clearly, the hospital is using rubber stamp signatures from judges on their documentation, which that's also illegal.
It's incredible.
But they did document the time that they were called. Phoenix PD was called. That the DCS had no custody over my son whatsoever when I was trespassed.
There is something I want to talk about, Arlena, that you told me about. It's up to you if you want to answer the question. You told me that you had gone live on Facebook in the hospital, in the room. Do you want to tell me about that? Because you were live on Facebook. It was public.
I think I will touch on it briefly without going into it too much, but I will say this, that they were trying to restrain my son. And my son was saying, "You treating me bad, I want to eat." And he was heading for the door. He says, I was going to get a doctor's appointment. My mom's got me a doctor's appointment. Let us leave.
He wanted to leave?
And he wanted to leave. He wanted to leave. And that's before they put the IV in.
Right.
He wanted to leave.
Right.
And they were restraining my son, pushing him down. And so I got out my phone and I started recording them.
Are you saying that they actually... What do you mean they pushed him down? What do you mean?
They were restraining him. They were restraining him, Shara.
Like pushed him down where?
On the floor.
They pushed him onto the floor?
Yes.
Your child?
My child.
Wow.
And so I stated it, and I said, I
Wow.
picked up my phone, and I started a Facebook Live, and I was going, "You're being recorded right now, and I suggest you get off my son right now."
And what did they do?
They backed off. They said, and that's when the social worker, Belinda Torres, turned around and pointed her finger at me, and she said, "I want you to know, Miss Willis, you're treading on very dangerous thin ice." She threatened me.
Because you took your phone out?
Yes, because I took my phone out and I started recording them.
And the reason I can talk
But
about
they were
this is
restraining
it's in the
my
public
son,
record.
and I was not going to allow them to get on top of my son.
Yeah. They have it in the public record that they felt you were a danger because you took your cell phone out. And you were on Facebook. They
Well, I
thought,
was
they thought,
restraining my son on Facebook.
and is that when they trespassed you at that point? When did they trespass you?
Well, they trespassed me the same day, though, later in the day, towards the evening.
And that was after you had, he had the IV for fluids. He had an IV. And that's in the police
Yes.
records. We can talk about it. We did talk about it the other day.
I do want to clarify that my son was tangled up in the IV line, and I did not want him to pull it out. And so I unscrewed it, because first I tried to contact the nurse 3 times, and she didn't respond.
Right.
And my son was getting tangled up, and he's like, "I've got to go bad, Mom. I've got to go bad."
So he just wanted
It
to go to the
hurt.
restroom.
Yeah, I just wanted to take him to the restroom.
Yeah.
So I just unscrewed it so I could, have him go to the bathroom.
And you took him and you brought him back, right? Did you bring him back to the room?
Yes, I brought him back to his bed,
And he got back on the bed.
Yes, and then I tried to contact the nurse to come back in the room. And when she realized that I did it, she didn't seem like she was too happy with it. But I told her, I said, "I tried to contact you 3 times.
And did you ask her to put the IV back on?
I told her, I said, and that's why I called you back in to put it back on, because I did call her back in after we got done using the restroom.
Right. Yeah.
After Jonathan got done going to the restroom.
So why are people saying it was a PIC line when it wasn't a PIC line? Because it does state on the police report, which is why we can talk about it. The Phoenix report, the one that people were saying they
The
couldn't
Phoenix
find.
report said IV. The Phoenix originating jurisdiction report
Yeah.
says IV. But then they embellished on it. That's the reason why it also was taken out of jurisdiction to investigate, so they can embellish on their investigation.
Because it said IV on the originating
Christine
report.
Britt was not, Christine Britt, let's be clear, Christine Britt was not the officer. She was not there to see the incident take place.
Well, correct.
So she could not testify in a grand jury to what she did not see or what she did not know.
And the officers that were there were Phoenix, correct? And,
Yes.
and Phoenix interviewed the hospital staff and interviewed you that day, correct? But they both spoke to you.
Excuse me, will you please say it again?
Phoenix Police Department, the day that you were trespassed, spoke to you and also had conversations with the hospital staff that day.
They spoke to me. They spoke to me at the time.
They took a report.
So they did a police
Yeah, they
report.
did. And exactly what you're stating today is what you stated to them that very day.
Exactly. It's
Exactly.
on the police report.
Yeah.
It's on the police report.
And that it's an IV. So how did it change to a PICC line on later paperwork? How?
Because they were lying. They were lying.
Was a doctor changing it to PICC line? I mean, who was saying that? I'm trying to remember where I saw that one.
Dr. Coyer.
I can't believe what I'm hearing here. And when I'm looking through these records, what I'm seeing over and over again, one particular doctor accusing you and your son of having psychiatric issues when you do not, because they couldn't explain why he was having issues with food, aversions to different foods, which is what happens in IBD, Dr. Ingabo. Children and adults, like I said before, will have issues with certain food that they can eat and certain foods that they can't eat. And it's par for the course and comes with the territory. It's not abnormal. It's not psychiatric. It is a autoimmune physical disease, and you're born with it genetically. It is not psychiatric. It is a genetic disease, Dr. Ingabo. Something that the hospital should know.
Can I say something, please?
Sure.
I want to state that she stated that because she'd known that my son's healthy appendix was removed. So she set out to demarginalize both me and my son by stating we both needed psychiatric help. So she was setting me up even then, and Jonathan up, because in case there was a lawsuit against the hospital, she was protecting the interests of Phoenix children.
And, I want to say, what if somebody did have a psychiatric issue? It doesn't take away from the fact that they still have the disease, that they were still diagnosed with that disease, and that disease is what's causing...
But that wasn't the case, Shara. That was not the case,
No,
Shara.
it wasn't the case. But for her to, because I'm seeing it all through the entire records, that's why I'm very, very, very focused on this. And I'm appalled. I'm so appalled by what I'm reading in this. I don't even... I know, Arlena, I'm just... Wow. Wow. Wow.
But for those that are laughing at this right now,
yeah. Of course I'm laughing.
I gotta say this. For those that are putting up the laughy faces right now, I've got documentation. So laugh all you want, because the truth is in the documentation. That's all I gotta say.
I mean, thick stack of records right here, everybody. Look at this.
And it's all in public record.
Public records. Public record. It's all right here.
So I can talk about it. Even the medical is on public record.
It's all on public record. The medical, all of it. Like, this is how they're doing it. It's on a public record, so we can talk about it. And I'm stunned by all of this.
I gotta say something else too.
Sure. Say what you want to say. Go for it.
I am the one that had 14 and a half hours hard labor bringing my son into this world, so I should be able to say my son's name, Jonathan. And I will say Jonathan all I want. There's lots of Jonathans in this world, by the way. And I can say my son's name at any time. I'm his mother. There is no way I'm going to allow anyone to erase my son from my life and me from his. That's not going to happen. It's just not.
Well, it's not possible.
It doesn't live in my body, and I am fighting for his return.
Yeah. I know, Arlena. And I'll tell you, I've gotten to know you so much in the last, how many months now have we been talking? I mean, we talk every day and for hours. We can talk for hours, and you're just incredible. You're an incredible mother, person.
Thank you.
Oh, everything about you. You're highly intelligent. I cannot believe the memory on you and the intelligence on you and how you understand everything. And to read the statements in this record by a doctor who wasn't even your doctor, she's a pediatrician, accusing you of having a psychiatric issue that you do not have. shows me how
I
egregious this
explain
is.
this, and I'm going to explain it one more time. The reason why she did this, Shara, to demarginalize Jonathan and me, in
Both
case
of
we
you.
would have to testify against them in court for
Right.
for liability.
Yeah. That's right, because when they diagnose someone with a mental condition, they assume that person that disqualifies them.
The
It
chief
discredits
did
them.
not have the qualifications to do that.
She was not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and
She's a GI doctor. That's her area of specialty, not psychiatry.
And the reason I bring it up is because it's all over the public record. It is all over the case that goes in front of a grand jury and goes in front of whoever else, saying things that are not true. That is not true. It's clearly not true. She did not get an evaluation at that time for someone to diagnose her with something that she didn't have and consider that to be a danger to her child when that is not true because she didn't have that disorder. I'm appalled, Arlena. And the more I read this, like every day I see something more and more and more every time I read it. And I just, honestly, you know what's scary about this is how many people are they doing this to? This hospital, is this routine, what I see here? I mean...
Well, they've got me and Melissa standing trial around at the same time. And this is the trend that I'm seeing with medical kidnapping, Sharon, that they are doubling hospitals that do the practice of medical kidnapping. They double down on the parents because they feel that keeps them from having to face a lawsuit in regards to medical malpractice, so they'll double down on the parents and they will criminalize them and put out the criminal investigations on them. I did some research online and saw the instances where Phoenix Children's Hospital would open up criminal investigations on parents that the parents had a clear-cut case for misdiagnosis or medical malpractice. That's alarming to me.
And we heard a lot. We're not going to get into what we heard on the first live, but we heard it right from a politician in that city. What really is going on behind the scenes, and I found that to be alarming as well. And on the subject you just brought up, I just have to say one more time: a doctor stating right on the public record, papers that go to a grand jury and everywhere else, that we routinely, we usually tell the parents. That we're going to have to call DCS. We usually tell the parents in a hospital where they bring a sick child that we're going to have to call DCS. We usually tell them, and they usually do what we say after that point. Does anybody else find that to be alarming, that they're using DCS to control parents on the medical care of their children, and the parents don't have a say in anything at all? If they go against what the hospital tells them to do, the doctor here is threatening DCS, and that'll turn the parents around real quick. That usually gets that usually changes their minds.
State Bill of Rights, the Arizona State Bill of Rights states that a parent has the right to govern their children's medical care,
that's right,
education, and
there's laws for that. Exactly.
And their medical care.
Yeah.
To govern their children's medical care, and that's what the Arizona State Bill of Rights states. And also in Troxel versus Glanville, it is a federal court case in federal law that states that the parent has a right to govern their the decisions over their children's upbringing, their medical care. It goes right along with the Arizona State Bill of Rights that the parent has a right to govern their children's education, religious upbringing, and their medical care.
That's right.
The parents have the right to do so, and they have a right to obtain a second opinion, or second, third, fourth,
that's right,
fifth, if they choose.
That's right.
That's law.
Yeah.
It's not what I'm saying. It's the law.
Yeah. And it also keeps ringing in my head too, the fact that the doctor stated that you are a very good mother. You were doing everything you could with love 24/7. The same doctor that's all over these records saying that if she's considering you to be a very good mother, what is this? What is this about? What is
Because
this?
because she's got a guilty conscience, and she also knows that she has to protect the interest of the hospital at the same time, and that's what that all boils down to. She feels like she has to push to have me criminalized and demarginalize me so that she could protect the interest of the hospital.
And Arlena,
That's what that boils down to.
let me ask you a question. If either you or the Melissa Deagle case went forward and one of you were convicted, let's just say worst case scenario, what would that do for parents and children and the relationships with hospitals across the nation if that were to happen?
Well, see, they're using a color of law to try to silence the truth and try to silence. And it cannot be a case law because state and federal courts are different in regards to
Case law.
implementing
Yeah.
case law.
Yeah.
So they would have to have a federal court case to implement and make it into federal law.
Yeah.
But it's an alarming trend that I've seen with
Alarming trend.
medical kidnapping that they are resorting to criminalizing parents and demarginalizing parents so that they can, and in essence, if they think that they can get by with this, they're not going to get by with it. Okay? They're not. Plain and simple, this prosecution needs to be dropping this case based on the factors I discussed with the fact that there was no warrant, no signatures on the grand jury indictment. They well went over the 270 days to bring a complex case into trial.
Mm-hmm.
There's no record of the arrest, no jurisdiction.
The jurisdiction has me.
All these factors, they need to be dismissing this now.
Well,
That's all I got to say because I'm taking steps to protect me legally and lawfully.
and more than that, Arlena, more than that is upon reviewing all these records, there is no sign of abuse here.
None.
There's no sign of abuse here. I mean, everything you've done to me is a mother who does everything she can for her child, loves her child very much, just like the doctor said. And I know these diseases very well. I've stated it a few times. I know them very, very well. And I know the course of the illness, and I know the time of diagnosis for these diseases in a child, and it can take up to 2 years to diagnose a child with this illness, which is in line with what happened with you, Arlena. And because a diagnosis is missed or it is a wrong diagnosis, does not mean that a parent has abused their child because they didn't know what was wrong with their child. It doesn't. Is there anything else you think you want to say, Arlena? And I think, you had a statement video, which I don't know how we're going to... Do you want me to actually post that in? Would you like to release that in the comment thread so people can see your statement video?
Oh, no, that's okay. I think we've covered every base.
We've covered everything?
Yes, I believe that we have.
Okay.
And I do, that I do know the weight of the documentation that I have. And on public record. And the prosecution also knows it, too, at this point, because that's where they need to be stepping back, pulling back the gravy train and saying, we cannot prosecute this woman because they don't have jurisdiction to prosecute me.
Yeah.
They don't have the jurisdiction.
This is not child abuse. I mean, I go back to that.
Shara, that's the whole thing. That's all of that aside, they have no jurisdiction.
Right.
Okay? We can say all the points that we made in this video, but the very fact that they don't have jurisdiction and the very fact that they went over the statute of limitations, everything, they don't have a case. They don't have a case based on the fact they have no jurisdiction, and that's where they need to back it up, right? Because they're violating my civil rights, my constitutional rights, and acting under color of law to do so. And they need to stop right now. They need to stop it right now.
You know, Arlena, this picture of you that I have on the computer, with you with the blue shirt and you're holding the signs, like, because what were you doing in that picture? What was that? You were in front of the hospital and you were protesting? Were you protesting in that picture, Arlena? Can you hear me?
Shara,
Yeah.
I want to say that it wasn't so much protesting as it was, please don't say that word.
Okay.
It wasn't so much protesting as it was in hopes that my son would see me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fighting for him.
Right. Oh, wow.
And-
wow.
And it was also in regards to I just wanted my son to look out the window. They had moved my son from the main floor where he was, and they put him in the east wing away from, so he couldn't see outside to the street.
Right.
He was already isolated from his friends and family. I wanted to be close to my son as possible, Shara.
Of course you did. And you know, you made an amazing point right there. You know, I didn't even think about that all this time, that your main reason for being out there was to give your son comfort and so that you could be close to your son when he needed you most. And I think,
Yes, Shara.
I think that subject right there is the most important thing that we should leave on the end of this live interview. We're going to close out pretty soon. And I think what you just said, Arlena, is so important, because I don't think the public knew that, and I don't think your advocate at the time knew it. Anyone who's not a mother, who's advocating for families, for mothers and children, you need to understand what it is to be a mother. And a mother being aggressive when her child is being harmed or ripped from her is what is a normal behavior for mothers. And a mother who is at the hospital holding signs up for her child and fighting for her child with her heart, and standing outside the hospital where her child can see her and get a glimpse of her and get strength from her in a hospital setting where he is obviously extremely distressed, to say the least, and been ripped from everything he knows, and especially his mother, who he was begging for, and food and everything. Arlena, I literally, like just now, you just struck me down with that's the reason you were there. You wanted him to see you and to feel comfort.
That was the main reason why I was there. And people would like see me holding signs, and they didn't think I was doing anything else but protesting. They would be wrong,
Right.
because I was contacting doctors. I gave you the email where I had actively was seeking for another
Right.
opinion, but got struck down every single time.
Oh, there you
I
go.
tried to work with a court-appointed attorney, but the court-appointed attorney was also discussing my case with other attorneys,
Yeah.
as well as he would not. He was like he was working with them and not working on my side.
So I'm not gonna name your advocate. I just want to say one thing on the subject you just stated, because I was told as well that you did look for doctors, didn't you? When you were standing out at that hospital trying to be close to your son, to help your son, so that he could feel comfort from you being there. And what mother wouldn't want to be as close to their child as they could be? Were you also actively seeking doctors per order?
Yes, I was. Per
And-
the court order, yes, I was.
And you came up with a list of doctors, and it was shot down, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
So I'm putting that
And I
out
got
to the advocate.
I got the emails to prove it. that.
Hopefully your advocate is watching this, that previous advocate, and we can tell her right now that she
Well,
was
if she
looking...
wasn't an advocate. If she was an advocate, she would have helped my son come home.
Well, exactly. It would not have deserted you.
He would not have been self-serving. And I will say this, that it really alarms me
All of it
that
does.
that there's a lot of individuals that, not everyone here, but I'm saying like those that are in these positions where they can be an active change for good, they're self-serving. And that's what's also alarming to me, that there would be people that would be so self-serving that they would be to the point where they were protecting private interests, and that's what also really alarms me in seeing that.
And
a network of people that are self-serving, protecting private interests, and that's not okay.
Instead of protecting your son.
Exactly.
I think that would be a good place to come to a close, and I can play that audio. And I just want to say, if there's anything else, if you want to say anything to anybody out there, because we know
I just want to say something else. I want to say that my son, like I said, he was crying for over a year to come home to me. And I've got the Rule per 59 from the attorney stating that he maintained his position, that I did nothing, absolutely nothing, to abuse nor neglect my son in any way.
That's right.
And also, as well, as if my son, if he sees this video, and to know that I love him very much, and I'm never giving up, and I am going to continue to fight legally and lawfully until we're reunited, and every charge dropped in the name of Jesus, with extreme prejudice.
Amen. And now,
Amen.
Do you want me to play that video of there was a decision made to play an audio of something that was public, so nobody can do anything about anything we've talked about here, because everything we're discussing is public record. And
it's public record.
And the audio I'm going to play was also public. It was public, and it was public over a year ago. One of the little clips is, I want the public to understand what really happened here. One of the little clips is your child, a nurse in the hospital when he was first taken from you. You weren't even there. You were outside. You had no part of this. Was filming your child behind a door, the sound of him screaming and wanting to get out of there. Is that correct, Arlena? You can describe it. You describe it, and then we'll play it, and then we're going to go off.
Yes, apparently a nurse that was there had taken the video from within the hospital of my son screaming
behind
to go home and screaming and screaming that he wanted to go home and screaming for them to stop hurting him.
Was he locked behind a door?
Yes, he was.
And was he trying to get out of that room?
Yes, he was, with everything in him.
Okay, and with that clip, we're also going to play a small clip, Arlena, audio clip of a conversation with you and your child, a very short clip about how he felt about what was happening to him. And then we're going to call it a night. It's Freedom Public Press. We are with Arlena Willis, and Arlena, you have a big week coming up, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, I do.
And you just wanted to get this information out. And we're not going to do another live. This is going to be it for now. We're going to leave it at this. And I also want to wish you the best this week, Arlena.
Thank you, Sharon. I just want to thank you for having me on.
I thank you, honey, for coming. And honestly, I want to thank you for something else. I want to thank you for coming into my life and for showing me the strength of a mother. The true strength of a mother. I'm going to leave it at that. This woman showed me the true strength of a real mother. A mother. And we're going to play that audio, Arlena. Thank you for being here. And thank you, everybody, for being here. Please go watch. You're welcome, honey. Watch part 1. Anyone who's just tuning in, and watch part 1. And we'll put it in the threads. And good night, everybody. We're going to play one little clip. And it's a hard clip to play. But this needs to go out there so people can hear. And everybody have a great night, and I thank you for being with us. Okay, here we go, Arlena. And you stay on there, Arlena. When I sign off, I want to give a quick chat with you, okay, honey?
Okay.
You still there, right?
All right, I'm here.
Okay, here we go.
I did something already. You did something already? Well, I did not have fun because I'm missing Halloween, and I want to do Halloween at home. I know, honey. It's so fun. I don't like this hospital. It's going to be going to this hospital. Well, Jonathan, all we need to worry about, okay, Jonathan? All we need to worry about is getting home, okay? That's the important thing. What are you trying to do?
Kidnapped.
Well, we're working on it, okay? Well, Jonathan, just know my working on getting you home, okay, sweetie?
Wow.
As I know they kidnapped me. Jonathan, I think that Jonathan, that if you feel like you're being held against your will, then that is. But Jonathan, but mommy's working on getting you home.
And I just wanted to replay real quick. Hi, what someone had posted of my son on YouTube, Jonathan. And this is his voice. They removed me for a second opinion. It's my child crying. It needs to be released immediately. Don't tell me that this doesn't happen, that medical kidnap doesn't happen.